Welcome back to Brick Dynasty Live. Tonight's guest excels in the land of us nerds, but has a secret, very cool side that you might not know about at first glance. Welcome, Pink Wheels, Meredith. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
The yeah, the was thinking about it a bit today, and you are actually cooler than the majority of the people that hang out over here. In
That's
the
debatable.
Yeah, in the most undercover kind of way. So let's jump in with that, and then we'll
Okay.
rewind. We'll do some origin story there.
So I'm assuming you were talking about the actual Pink Wheels.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've always liked cars. My dad had really crappy British sports cars growing up. He would throw my brother and I in the front seat of his Triumph sports car and saying, "Don't tell your mom about this," because it was a two-seater.
I
I always liked cars. I wasn't super. I mean, I went to school for chemical engineering, but I did do a good amount of mechanical. And when I got out of college, you get your first job, and I would get involved with the local car scene. I married my college sweetheart right out of Georgia Tech. And he also was into cars. He's over there listening to his book on tape, or his book on Audible right now, so you can't hear me. But yeah, so we love cars, and we live in Atlanta. And people usually think of car culture, they think of LA, they think West Coast, but Atlanta has huge car culture and car history. We have Road Atlanta, which is like, I don't think it's the oldest, but it has to be one of the oldest racetracks in the United States. They used to apparently, it got so bad financially, like in the 70s and early 80s, they were actually the former owners were flying in cocaine shipments on the back straight. So and there's a lot of, once you go up to Brazelton, that's the area that has Road Atlanta. There's all these racing shops and more like sports car manufacturers. I can't. Panos is up there. They used to have the Skip Barber's racing school started there. So, between Road Atlanta and just being a big city, Atlanta had car culture, in the 90s and 2000s. And, graduated college, got my first car that I bought new. I got a Subaru WRX, and I thought it was the hottest thing ever. One of my friends from college, his parents, actually, his mother, I believe, owned like a racing shop. So like you'd go in to buy safety equipment. Hans were just out at that point, but you'd go in to get all your safety, your safety garb, all that stuff. She ran a shop. And so he was he was brought up in Brazelton. So he was in that old school, like, just history of Brazelton, Road Atlanta car culture. And he's like, listen, if you really like driving your car, you should come out to an autocross. So do you know what autocross is?
Autocross is very small scale, like parking lot racing, more or less, isn't it?
Yes, it is the easiest motorsport to start, hardest one to master, so to speak. But it's focused on car control and timing. We actually had pretty good sized parking lots back in the day. We get like full minute plus courses here in Atlanta. But sadly, Turner Field is where we used to do a lot of it. And now the Braves moved and they took that parking lot and they built condos, so it's not there anymore. But it hones your car control so well. Like I could tell what the rear of a car was doing or the front of the car, because that was important. And I met a whole lot of friends that way. What was it? I met this dude who, in the first autocross I went to with my friend, he was out there. And do you know what a Hachiroku is?
No.
An AE86. It's a Toyota Corolla, but it was from the late 80s, and it was a hatchback. And they gave this thing rear-wheel drive. And it became like the cheapest drift car and the best drift car, because Toyota put great suspension on it. So you could, and it was lightweight, so you could drift these, I think it was like the late 80s Toyota Corolla hatchbacks, and they were called Hachiroku in Japan 86, because that was what they called it. They called it the AE 86. So he's out there and he is just sliding this car in the dry. It's not raining, and he is just making the course, and he's cutting with all the drifts, and he's the fastest person out there. And so we became really good friends, and he taught me how to drive really well. He's probably the fastest driver I know, but like, we're all broke. You guys think Lego's expensive. Do any sort of amateur motorsport, and it is way more expensive. So yeah, we'd hang around. I had another friend, and he's considered my uncle, the uncle to my daughter, Uncle Bert. So we would just always hang out. We were doing like 20 to 30 events a year, and then we were doing track days on top of that, because track days started back in the 2000s, the mid 2000s. It became a thing. So like, somebody would rent a track, whether it was Road Atlanta or Carolina Motorsports Park, and they'd rent the track for the day, and y'all chipped in for the track time. Excuse me. And so I'd go out there and have lots of irresponsible fun. So yeah, we went to the national championships for autocross. We were doing some time trialing on the track. I just don't trust other drivers for, how do I say this? When you go wheel to wheel, let's just say the main organization that runs amateur motorsports in the United States is called a CCA, Sports Car Club of America. And they've been around since like the 50s. And unfortunately, the club, how do I say, try to be polite. I left, I was a member for like 8-9 years. And finally, I just got sick of it, because they're very orientated on road racing, which is great. But, you have guys out there, gentlemen in their 60s driving around, and it's like, I don't trust, because when you go to wheel, there is an element of trust, especially, you're doing this in the amateur thing. There's no, what do you call it? Workman's comp if, you get in a bad wreck with your wheel-to-wheel racing car. I like going around. I like car culture. I like going to track days with my friends. We ended up joining, they built a second track in Atlanta that's like, you could buy into a membership, and we have so many days we go up there. We have a rental garage, and we kind of like go up there with our old autocross friends now, and my daughter will hang out. There's a loft in there with a TV, and she hangs out, and we just have informal track days. It's just been something we've been both doing. My husband and I have been both doing since we were graduated college.
It's amazing.
There's lots of other people that do it. It's just, how do I say this? People usually come and go in it, much like Lego. But it's something I'll never give up. It's just, how do I say this? Like, you need your stress release, and it is, to me, an ultimate stress release.
Yeah, it takes a lot of balls to do something like that, really. It's one thing to just, be into it, and, I think it's cool. It's another thing to actually get behind the wheel, though.
Track, like autocross, I've seen one or two, accidents at autocrosses, and it usually was, how do I say this? Some kid just pushing it way, like some young 20-year-old thinking, way beyond, like, he should, and that was over probably, I've been to like 300 autocrosses. So I've probably heard of more people getting into wrecks driving just randomly on the road to an autocross than actually at autocross. So it's very safe. I've hit potholes and had to get a new control arm because I bent it or something like that. But when you go to a track, I do buy track insurance now. That's one of the great things they have. But I drive a Subaru BRZ with stock. It has really upgraded suspension, has really upgraded limited slip differential, but it's one of them has a slight power boost. It's at 207 at the wheels, and then the other one's stock horsepower, which I think is like, it's the newer model, so it's like 196 at the wheels. Because the problem is that everyone, the car culture changed in the OATs, the O10s, and they just keep coming out with these cars with more and more horsepower. And I've heard of people, I had a friend that had an Subaru STI like I did, and he lost his brakes at Carolina Motorsports Park, and he had to be life flighted. Yeah, so I feel like a cheap Subaru BRZ, which is a cheap rear-wheel drive Econobox sports car that I got for $26,000. Like, I have insurance on it, and then I have a Hans and all that stuff. So I try to be very safe. And that the courses, Atlanta Motorsports Park where I go to, it's a very tight course. Like, you can't. There's not a long back straight like Atlanta or Atlanta. So I feel like that, it's still a risk, but again, I only have 200 horsepower versus the person coming out with their crazy Camaro that has 500 horsepower at the wheels. People kill themselves, doing that. So I feel like, you don't need that kind of speed to have fun. 200 horsepower in a 2,800 pound car with good suspension, it goes a long way in that fun factor.
That's awesome. And 500 is just hairy.
I mean, I go out there and there's people in their Ferraris. There was a guy in a Noble, which is like a kit car with some crazy engine. There were, I'm more worried about hitting one of these other cars and having them sue me, even though you have to sign a waiver and all that. It doesn't matter. I have the full track coverage so that if I hit somebody's GT3 Porsche, that they're not going to come. That I have up to I think $1 million in liability for track damage or damage to other people's cars, because I can't afford a car that costs more than a house. So, but you hop into a GT3, even 10-year-old GT3, and you got like 400 horsepower at the wheels. It's a lot. And unless you're a professional race car driver, there's some people that shouldn't be out there enjoying amateur motorsports with that much horsepower.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that'll get away from you quick, right?
Yes, and it was a lot safer back when you had people out there toting around in Miatas. There's still spec Miata and Civics and stuff like that, where it's just that's what people could afford, and that's what was being manufactured. And you had a little 200 horsepower car, and that's what you drove and you race and you time trialed. So,
man, that's so much fun.
It's a blast. I mean, even if you have a local track near you, just go up and see if they're doing parade laps. Usually a lot of SCCA and NASA and stuff, they'll do parade laps for $10, where you just go out and you can drive the track for I think at 35, 40 miles per hour tops. I mean, some tracks like Red Atlanta is crazy. The track I go to, Atlanta Motorsports Park, is crazy. Barber is crazy. I mean, just these blind hills, blind turns. It's like a roller coaster that you're in control of.
That's fun. Will they let me on with my my cargo van?
I mean, for a parade lap at 30, 40 miles per hour. Yeah. I mean, it's just, they usually do it either for charity or just to, help out the club race weekend, hey, parade laps at lunch for $5. So.
That's awesome. Parade lap. So do you actually decorate your car for a parade lap? Is it that kind of thing?
No. It's usually just hey, is there people spectating that want to go out and just drive on the parade lap? And I mean, it's a parade lap. It's not like a parade itself. It's just a slow lap so that, people who aren't there to race or drive can see what the track's like.
Okay. That's fun.
But when you're doing a competition like a time trial or road racing or even autocross at the national level, you get out all the vinyl, because it's hey, it's no different than being an AFOL. We're all here to have fun. And, who doesn't have that kid dream of driving a race car? So it's I'm going to throw all the cheap vinyl in my car, get all because the tire manufacturers, especially for autocross, they love autocross because you're just burning up tires and they love it. So you throw the Bridgestone stickers on it, you throw your suspension stickers on it. You have to have a number usually if you're doing competitions so that they can call you, although now it's mostly all transponders, but they still want you to have a number on it so that if you're a jerk on the track, they'll come and find you in paddock. Oh, it was that blue car that with number 22 on the side. So yeah, you dress up your car for those types of events, and it's good fun.
Does anybody actually get sponsors for that, or are you just kind of mock sponsor kind of deal?
So a lot of amateur motorsports run on what's called contingency. So for example, if I'm on contingency for Bridgestone for a time trialing program, whether it's through NASA or SCCA or Grid Life, which is probably going to replace SCCA because they're running great programs to the United States of time trials and amateur road racing. they'll say, okay, if you win first place in your class and you're running on Bridgestones and you have Bridgestone tire stickers on your car, we will give you, and a lot of times they switched it from actual cash because then you have to report it. They'll say, we'll give you a coupon for like 4 new tires. And if you get second place, you get a coupon for 2 new tires. Because the tires and the oil and the fuel and the brake pads are the main consumables in pretty much any motorsport. So it was mostly the tire manufacturers. So yeah, a lot of the amateur, but again, it's 2 tires is nice, but you know, it doesn't go that far, especially like when you're towing something, you know, 6 hours away. But yeah, even at the higher levels, this one kid that I knew, this was in the early 2000s. He was looking in autocross. You could do like what's called a co-drive, where you could share your car with one other person. So you just take the car up twice, but each person gets to do their competition runs separately. And he was a young kid, but he was super nice. And I'm like, listen, come down, drive my car at this big national event. And he is just like, he got in it and he instantly was a second and a half faster than me. He had natural talent. He had been karting since whenever. He actually crowdfunded his semi-professional series into, it was a SCCA, like had like a mid-level, like between amateur and professional, and he won. It was for B-Spec, where you'd run like little Honda Fits and stuff, and he crowdsourced it, like everyone could sponsor $5. And he got picked up by Honda, and he was a driver for Honda for a while. But the problem is that eventually, like, your reflexes don't go as fast, because he was like, at that point, like he was in his early 20s. And it's, you know, it's all about pretty much, you come into racing, most people that come into racing professionally, or, you know, the upper levels of amateur professional, they're all rich. How do I say that? You know, my friend Tom, he's probably the exception. He came in with a lot of hard work and talent. But like, there's a Formula 4 team at Atlanta Motorsports Park, and there's a kid that's a member of the racetrack, and he is super fast, and he wanted to join the F4 team, and they told his parents to pony up $350,000 for a season.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
And if you look,
there was an extra 0 on there.
Yeah, if you look, a lot of the F1 drivers, who am I thinking about that? Danny Ricciardo, he doesn't drive anymore, but he drove for Red Bull for a very long time. His dad is like multi-millionaire mining, what do you call it? CEO from Australia. Lance Stroll's dad is a billionaire. I mean, you had the Russian oligarch's son. God, I can't remember his name. A few years ago, before the Ukraine invasion, it was pretty much Putin was paying his way into he pretty much bought a seat. I mean, that's what it is. They call them gentleman drivers. So when you get to the top levels, it's about talent, but it's also about who can bring money, who can pay for a seat. So the joke is you know, if you want to make $1 million racing, you start with $10 million.
Wow.
So I just enjoy it as something fun to do and stuff like that. But again, yeah, you meet those rare people that do make it, but most of the time it's folks whose parents have money.
Jeez. I mean, I knew it was expensive from the car perspective, but I guess I didn't realize that actually the involvement itself was that expensive as well.
Entry fees, safety equipment, gas, brake pads. You go through brake pads, and like the engines on the cars. I mean, if you're a professional, you know, at any level, like at, you know, sports car racing, or if you're doing prototype or formula racing, I mean, those engines will only last you like a half a season, because they're under so much strain and they blow up. So you constantly have to have backup parts and keep those, and you have to have mechanics. And, you know, if you're doing an endurance, series, you have to have a whole team to change your tires, and heck, even change your brake pads. Like if you go watch the 24 Hours of Daytona, they do brake jobs in the middle of the night, because the brake pads just they wear quickly, and changing the tires and filling you up. So having a full professional team, it's expensive. In fact, Netflix had a series about just like, scuzzy people, scuzzy millionaires. And you can go, if you Google level 5 racing. So this guy ran a payday loan off of Indian reservation in Oklahoma, and he was totally sketch, made millions upon millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. And he kept just moving stuff around so the FEC couldn't get him. And he was running a IMSA endurance team. He had multiple people on the team, and there's stories from his mechanics. Somebody did a podcast. This was probably about 5 or 6 years about how much money he would spend on doing, like, even at like the amateur level before he got into professional. He had to get some amateur races. Like, he overbuilt some car that had to be started. The only way you could start it was by a computer. And meanwhile, you had like, your 65-year-old SCCA racers out there, and like they're barely functional Formula V cars, and this guy would show up, and but yeah, the FEC finally ran out, finally got him, and they actually auctioned off all of his racing assets. I mean, trailers, engines, beautiful like Formula Ferrari cars for doing it. Anyway, you see it in the documentary. I can't remember what it is, but it was a Netflix series. They did several people, but I'm like, I have to watch his. And they just go into these warehouses and basement, and it's just beautiful racing cars all over the place and racing equipment. And yeah, the government took it and sold it because, he was cheating people out of so much money.
Yeah. I'm sure they didn't actually give it to any of the people he cheated. They just kind of kept it because
I have no idea. I didn't track the money, but it was just, they interplaced that with like, he's talking about how terrible it is. The government's coming down with like people who like, were indigent. And I was like, listen, my daughter like had medical condition or something. Like, I just needed $300 this week to get her medicine or something. And then it just compounded, and these poor people were in debt and they couldn't get out and stuff like that. He's living in this, $20 mansion in Kansas City with a basement full of Ferraris.
Yeah. It's a tough life.
Tough life.
Yeah. Being shady has its perks. They all catch up with you eventually.
I was going to say, easy money, is never going to get you there. So,
yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's what I did before I had a kid. And then, as you're a father, when you become a parent, it's like, you got to slow down. And so, we slowed down and somehow got back into Lego.
Okay. So, well, I suppose we should talk about Lego. Has Lego been an always thing for you? Well, you said back into Lego, so
yeah,
there was a dark age, and
there was a dark age. There was a long dark age. I have an older brother, and of course, I always wanted to have whatever toys he had that looked cool. And he had like the Space Police versus Blacktron sets. He had the pirate set that was the island with the little bridge and all that stuff. We had like the basic hospital, like it's the town hospital and that stuff. And I remember my very last set I bought, I was bored during summer. And so my dad took me and we got the Paradisa Poolside Paradise. And that was my last set before my dark age.
And then you came back.
And then and my husband was the same way. He had the town monorail. He had more toys than me. He had like the town monorail. He had all the bells and whistles when it came to like, he had the cool castle sets from the 80s and 90s. We didn't have all that stuff. We didn't have a monorail. So.
All right. So if you went from there until you were a mom, that was a pretty extended dark age.
Yes.
That wasn't just like 4 years for college and back in action.
No, that was probably since I was about 11, 12 was, obviously when a lot of people, stopped playing, or a lot of teens or tweens stopped playing with toys and focus on other stuff. So, yeah, I just remember that was the last that I bought. I remember I had the multiple instructions with multiple builds that you could use on it and stuff like that. I remember I played with that for like all summer because I was just bored out of my gourd because my parents were divorced. I was at my dad's house for a few weeks and I didn't really know any of the kids there. So it was more fun, It was just something that I enjoyed. I remember I have vivid memories of just enjoying, because I think my brother was at camp, because that's why I was so bored too. My brother was at camp. I was at my dad's house. I didn't really have any friends in the neighborhood. So I entertained myself a lot with that poolside paradise.
Okay. So you remember that pretty clearly, that was your last one. Do you still have it?
I do not, but I bought it off of eBay with the flip top box used.
Cool.
And it was $35. It says it's from Kmart. The one that I bought used has the Kmart sticker on for $35, which that was a lot back. I think it was 1991. I was like, $50 with inflation for our time. So I must have been annoying the crap out of my dad. So
yeah, or it's divorced parent guilt. That's the thing too.
I think it was more of annoying the crap out of him. They divorced when I was really young, so I really didn't have very many memories, and never played the guilt. I think I just, again, annoyed the crap out of him.
Yeah, it's the age. So when you came back, was it for the sake of playing with your kid, or?
It was, we ended up on Nextdoor, and I was going nuts on Nextdoor. I think I got into buying, like, I don't know why, finding really good deals on like used toys and used baby. I mean, I'm not saying that that's not good, but like, I just loved having tons of clothes for my daughter, because it's like, so I was always like going to the mom sales and stuff like that, and I was finding really expensive baby clothes, like mini Bowden and stuff like that, like super cheap. And just, I guess it was the thrill of the hunt, all AFOLs know that. And I saw somebody in our neighborhood like selling just like 2 or 3 Sterilite bins of, and you're gonna cringe when I say this, Mega Block.
Ooh, that's tough.
We bought like a big creator box for my daughter. We bought her like some used Duplo, and she was loving that, and we were all loving it. And it was like, we don't have enough to build with. We're all like sitting around in the living room around the coffee table. Excuse me. And there just was like, well, we don't have everyone was trying to build something, and it wasn't enough to share. So it was like, they want like $10 just because we didn't know it was Mega Blocks. And there was so much, like, my daughter had a kiddie pool for fun. We poured it all in the kiddie pool. You could get the kiddie pool just like full of Mega Block. And we all went nuts for it. We were all just having fun with it. And this guy in the city of Atlanta, that my husband found, I guess it was on Facebook, he ran a group called the Brick Bank, which was, he was buying used lots of Lego. So this is probably 2015. Yeah. So he's buying used lots of Lego from like Goodwill, from eBay, stuff like that, back when it was still reasonable. And he was having people in our lug that I hadn't joined yet sort. And what you did is you picked up X amount of pounds, usually like 60 pounds. And you could keep a percentage, like 15% by weight of 10% of whatever you wanted. And there was figs in there. There was like still box sets. I mean, because it was just random crap that was at Goodwill or eBay or, where you could get it. And so you would sort by color. Back then it was by color, so it was super easy. And you would just, I got so many figs that way. And so my husband was, he was having to commute up to like Chattanooga here in Atlanta. So it's about 2.5 hours away. And he was also for work having to go to Albany in South Georgia. And so he would just drive his car because these are small towns. And so he would put like 2 30-pound Sterilite bins in his car and just knock it out. Like, cause he's like, well, I don't have anything to do. So I just sit around in my hotel room and sort some, And cool. So he started accumulating all this bulk, and we just went nuts. Like, cause it was like, oh wow, we have all this stuff. And so he ended up joining our local lug, Peach Lug. And I was really apprehensive at first, because I'm just like, I feel like, I guess there's like this like adult shame of like, and I think it's definitely gone away about like, OMG, you like, you do Lego as a hobby as an adult. Like, you didn't buy this for your kid. So I think there was kind of some bias on my half. I'm like, I'm not going to go to a meeting of a bunch of Lego people. I just want to be, in my house, enjoying the Lego, this giant, massive Lego we've accumulated with my child. And he finally convinced me, because he'd be gone for like 3 or 4 hours on a lug meeting day. Because he would also help this guy. This guy would set up for the lug meetings, like, hey, if you just want to do like pick a brick at, I don't remember what he's charging per pound, he would bring like, fill up the back of his minivan with like Sterilite bins. And so he'd go pick through those too. So they'd be there at lug meetings for like 3 or 4 hours and be like, when are you coming home? And he's like, why don't you just come with me next time? And I've met the most lovely, awesome, great people through that. And it was kind of hard because at that point I wasn't doing my car stuff. So I wasn't hanging out with my car friends that often. And now I met another group of great people to hang out with. So it kind of escalated from there, so to speak. And my husband we sorted for him for like 8 years. So I think we've accumulated around 2,500 pounds of Lego.
Holy shit. That's amazing.
So
it's a lot of Lego.
It's a lot of Lego. So, and now it's just, I started, our lug would do lug challenges. And it was trying to be very much about trying to get people mocking, especially people that are new or haven't mocked before. So it was all like, what do you say? Like a low stress or, just low barrier of entry builds. Like it would be like build a miniature moon base, build a small little habitat, stuff like that. And I used to get really into it. And so it kind of, and my daughter still loved Lego. She's kind of in her dark age right now. But back then she loved Ninjago. She loved the elves, mini dolls. So like, she's always like, Mommy, we'd watch Ninjago. She'd be like, Mom, can you build me that? And there'd be things there that they didn't build sets for. And there was a season where like everything was in this palace. And she's like, Mom, build me that palace. And so that was my very first like big mock. I built the palace that they didn't have a set for. And that's where it started. And as I said, it escalated a lot. So.
Yeah, I mean, so I think the last picture I saw was the yellow castle. Is that the most recent one?
That's the most recent one.
Yep. That's it's a hell of a thing to graduate to. Oh my God.
So how do I say it? People that, I talk to and try to get feedback and, just people that have known like how I like to mock, they usually call me like, the person who's going to break out the most weirdest colors or interesting color combinations. And, you look at a lot of castle and it's gray or dark gray or black. And I was like, I'm going to do a yellow castle because it's like, it's a homage to the original one. Mm-hmm. And it's just, you go to a Lego convention, and this is not to ding anyone that likes to build gray castles, but like I like to just do something different. I feel like all my blocks are kind of different than what other people build, and everyone should have their own style. And I'm like, I'm gonna do the pale yellow and yellow mix, and it just kind of exploded from there. My daughter loves like mushrooms and frog and kind of like that fairy core vibe. So the CMFs that come out, the mushroom CMF, we army built them. And we had just been waiting for like an opportunity. So I'm like, this yellow castle, it's going to be a red, yellow, and blue kind of color palette. And the mushroom tribe's going to live there.
Perfect. Okay. So that explains the mushroom then. I was wondering how that came in. Now, in the last picture, there were a couple buildings outside of the castle. Were those yours as well?
No. So this was a collab between Peach Slug, who I'm a member of, and kind of like our sister neighbor lug, South Carolina lug, SC lug. And then it was headed up by a person you may have heard of, Mark Erickson, formerly known as the half of the duo known as the former Castle Bros from Lego Masters Season 2. Okay. So him and his brother won Lego Masters Season 2. He lives, south of Atlanta. He lives in Atlanta Metro, and I've known him for years. I've known him and his brother since I think they were not quite 20, so they might have been like 19, 20. And they're great guys. Super sweet, super nice to Natalie. You know, they could totally blow off kids, but you know, they are just super nice anyway. But he's like, hey, I want to do a castle collab with different factions. Because again, I know he's kind of gave up the castle bro title, but he's like, let's do a castle collab. And I'm like, can I take my mushroom army and make them a castle? He's like, absolutely. So I'm like, cool. And he said, just let me know if they're good or evil. Because we had one side that was evil and Mark's black skeleton. It was almost like a Castle Grayskull. It was so cool. Like, and he had green, transparent green bricks in the mouth of the castle, and it was glowing. I mean, so he had his side, which was evil, and then I was chaotic good, and cool. Kind of in between, people brought different scenery, there was like a church, and there was kind of like a forestman hideout inn and stuff like that. So it was a collab.
Now, is that purely for Atlanta, or are you going to travel with that?
I'll probably bring it to Brickworld. There are things that I didn't finish. I started that according to my Google pictures, I started that build December 2nd. I gave myself like between Christmas and traveling for visit family Christmas, I think I gave myself about 10 weeks to build that.
That's insane. That's such a short amount of time.
I had my husband and my daughter tiling like the water, tiling the towers for me, because I'm just like, I'm so behind. So so it's gonna be expanded for Brickworld. It's mostly just gonna the tall tower in back that I was having was like a mage's tower. I just didn't. It was one of the things of like, we'll have this for Brickworld, and then no one else from the collab is coming, so I'm going to kind of have to build out around it terrain. And I kind of wanted to have like a mushroom farm with like a little villager like growing mushrooms and stuff like that. So,
jeez, well, that's going to take some work. Well, I mean, transportation on that far is going to take work.
Actually, it's one of the easier MOCs to transport.
Yeah,
everything is modular. Do you know Rich Intense Bricks?
I don't believe so.
If you go to Beyond the Brick, like they have every one of Rich's builds on there, and he builds these monster castles. He lives in Atlanta, and they always go and they film his build studio, and like he has to put his castles in like a crate and get it forklifted because they're not modular. I just built everything modular because my husband will get upset if I don't. So everything just slides apart and it fits, in regular boxes. The worst MOC that I've ever had to transport was the one where I made the like the what do you call it? The mini lander scale, but they're a little bit bigger than mini lander scale. It was a homage to Lego Elves, and it had 3 elven mini landers, and they're
yep.
Magic, and my husband helped me do programmable LEDs, but all those trees behind them and all that foliage, it wouldn't stay. I had to rebuild it anytime I displayed it. And so it was like 6-7 hour setup. So I've learned my lessons, and the owl house that I built before that, I could set that up in an hour and a half tops. So I've learned that, you really, if you want to enjoy yourself, you really make sure you have to plan, because otherwise you'll be sitting, Thursday and Friday of any convention, just like building trees and redoing bushes and all that stuff.
Now, how many conventions have you been to now?
We usually do about 3 a year, and we started in 2018. But back then we only would do 1 or 2 a year. I have to say it's probably about 15 to 20 conventions, somewhere around there.
And okay, well, Atlanta BrickCon's not that old though, right?
So actually, it was called Atlanta Celebration back in the day. I think it had 2 owners. One of the current owner of BrickFan Expo / Atlanta BrickCon, and then I think he had a partner. And then he just ran into problems because the only convention hall that we really apparently I'm trying to seduce Bricks. The only convention hall really in Atlanta that how do I say this? Like smaller conventions could afford was over in Cobb County, and they kind of had like a monopoly on like the small to medium sized convention halls, and they kept raising his rates and they couldn't make money. And then COVID happened. Well, then they canceled, like they overbooked him and they raised his rates, and he just was like, I got to take a year off. I'm like, no problem. Completely understand. That's just like, they overbooked him, so he had to cancel. And then I think the last one he had done it in October, which in October in the South, it's football time. And it was like beautiful. And it's always like, that's our best weather. It's not too hot out, but it's not too cold. It's just lovely. It's not humid. So he used to do it, and it just, that one, the last time, it was just the most gorgeous weekend. And there was college football on. So the attendance wasn't as good as he needed, or as they needed. So he rebranded it. I guess, I don't think he has a partner with him anymore. He's an AFOL. He's in our lug. It's an AFOL event. So he rebranded it as Atlanta BrickCon, and it was held over when it came back from COVID in 2021. He held it over in like this community center with like a basketball court and like a second level that had kind of like a surrounding area. And, he's like, listen, this is, we have to start small again and build it. And I remember showing up every day to that convention, and it was just like the line was wrapped around this community center for people trying to get in. So, he did a great job. He made it popular, and then they opened the Gas South Convention Hall over here in Duluth. So Cobb Galleria had some competition, and he got in with them, and it's been good business for both the convention hall for him, and every year it's gotten bigger, bigger, and bigger. So
awesome. It's 3 days. Is it Friday?
No,
Friday,
it's
Saturday, Sunday?
It's a half day on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So, okay. And every year he adds more, AFOL type activities. I don't know. You've been, I'm assuming, I know you've been to like have you been to Brick World?
Yeah, I was at Brick World last year.
So like, at Brick World, they have like the blind build, the speed build, stuff like that. Parts draft, stuff like that. He's gradually building those up. So there are those types of events. So it's just not, hey, show up and set out your mock and then people go off. He's trying to make it, more of that kind of community aspect where people are just hanging out, doing the activities, even though their mocks are set up, et cetera, et cetera. So, okay. Every year it grows. So come down if you want some warm weather, hopefully in February. That was actually not the warmest weekend we've had it, but, yeah, he has a great date now. I know Super Bowl Sunday people are moaning, but it's like, the attendees for public, they're only coming for 2-3 hours. So it's fine on a Sunday. We had good attendance on Sunday because, again, they're going to go home in the afternoon and watch the Super Bowl in the evening. So it doesn't really seem to affect it. So, but February, there's nothing going on in Atlanta in February. And it's usually kind of, not the nicest weather. So.
Yeah, the weather up here sucks. So be a nice break. Okay. All right. So it's longer than I thought it was. That's cool.
Yeah. You can come Thursday. I think they started at noon.
Okay. Yeah. I don't like the idea of getting on a plane to fly somewhere for 2 days. That just doesn't seem worth it to me. It's talking to the wife about, second options, because Brick World is going to be a fixture now. I feel like it has to be.
We kind of do, we do our local Atlanta BrickCon, we do Brick World, and then we kind of do like one other road trip con a year. And 2 years ago, or the year before last, we went to Brick Slopes, and then this past fall we went to Bricks in the Six in Toronto. So we really like Bricks in the Six. We might make that a permanent visit. So
really,
yeah. How do I say this? It's not the biggest event, but it's the most fun event. And not to blast Mark or anything like that, because I still have tons of fun at Brick World. It's just, it's a little bit smaller, and people put so much effort into the AFOL games, the AFOL activities, the AFOL community there. And, it's Canada. Everything's a little bit cheaper for us Americans, and people are so friendly. And Toronto's a great city. It's huge. It's like going to New York City where things are cheaper, cleaner, and everyone's friendly.
All right. And it's close. Well, close for me.
Yes.
I'm probably like halfway for you.
Yeah, we have to fly, but to be honest, it's nice going flying, and that way I don't have the pressure to bring something big because it has to fit in my luggage. And then those MOCs usually don't take as long to set up. So it's kind of like a breather, so to speak, versus Brick World we drive and we always want to bring something nice and big, and Atlanta Brick Con is 15 minutes away, so we're driving and bringing something nice. So it's nice to come and bring something cute to set up and just have a little bit more time to interact with people.
Yeah. Have you considered going to one of these shows and not bringing anything and being just a spectator? Or do you think that would ruin it for you?
I don't think it would ruin me. I mean, I know people that have done it. I know people who mock who've done it. Usually, how do I say that? It's kind of like I would do it if it's kind of like a convention of opportunity, like if I'm traveling for work and it's a cheap flight or I'm already in the city. But I mean, there's even stuff that I can just, fit in a Ziploc bag that, I'd like to bring because just I don't know what it is. I just like to display stuff. So
it's a part of you at this point, right? Yeah. I don't know why, but it feels to me like, as somebody who's never brought anything to display, it feels like if I was to just bring, I don't know, something very small, be like, why did I bother? Like, I could have just not.
So how do I say this? Like, to me, it doesn't matter. Like, how do I say something well built or just, exciting or different? I mean, I've gawked over a car before, like, like a stud wide car that just like blew my mind and the techniques that have been used, or a mech. Like, I mean, yes, well built and big things are nice, but I mean, there are things that, and this is something I feel like I have a problem with when I mock is I always was like, let's go big, let's put everything in it. Let's do tons of trees. It has to look like it's a full forest with just overgrowth everywhere. I mean, you can bring very simple, clean, nice builds or just small builds that just will blow people's mind. And, someone finds joy out of that. Great. I find joy out of like, there is a builder out in Oregon, Will Hafner, I think his family used to run BrickCon or something, either BrickCon or BrickCon, I can't remember. He brought to Bricks in the Six. He always makes crazy stuff, but he brought this like tubular monster made out of like these pieces, but in like yellow, and they had like yellow faces that were printed from like a Lego set, and it was just obnoxiously adorable and creepy at the same time, and it gave me joy. So I'm happy he brought it, even though it was only like this big. So it's just seeing other people's creativity, seeing what other people are about. It doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be small. It's just what people create.
Okay. All right.
And there's always things like Brick Family. I don't know if she's coming to Brick World this year, but somebody else will probably do it. Like, they have the bring your sig fig habitat. I lost mine.
Yes.
But I usually bring it, and it's fun to just sit there and be like, oh, there's so and so, there's such and such, or I bet this one is somebody, whatever. It doesn't. I feel like everyone can mock, and everyone has different expressions and likes, and that's what makes art interesting. And people will probably say like, oh, Lego's not art, but I feel like when people
no, it absolutely is. Yeah.
You should bring something. I mean, it doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be all encompassing, doesn't have to be award winning. But if it gives you joy, or if you feel like you're putting yourself out there, and that's the other thing, like the first time I displayed, it's a little hair-raising. You're putting yourself out there. There's all these people that have mocked better than you, have been mocking for a long time or longer than you and stuff like that. And if they say anything rude, they don't belong there, to be completely honest. Like, all the people, a lot of the builders nearly all the builders I've ever interacted with, especially on my first, display, were nothing but nice and nothing but complimentary and asking me about techniques. I mean, I just feel like, that the mock building community, they're not, it's more about kind of pushing your creativity, pushing your techniques, stuff like that. It's not necessarily who brings the biggest or the grandest, if that makes sense.
Yep. Do you watch Think Outside the Blocks?
Yeah, I don't catch it all the time, but I do catch it occasionally, and I was on it back in October for just one episode.
They have a new song about Ben's opinion. It's called "It Sucks," and it's like a sea shanty of sorts.
I've found a lot of the best builders I've met, and that includes Ben, Mr. Brickworld Master, and I've got to meet several Brickworld Masters. I've gotten to meet people who've displayed in the Masterpiece Gallery. They're all typically are very humble and self-deprecating on their own, build style, build quality, whatever. So.
Yeah, it's I had Ben on the show a couple months ago. He's great, and
he's a very nice guy. I like him a lot, and his castle builds and the dragon and the mechs and the space. He's extremely versatile, and just he crams so much in like a medium-sized mock. I can't do that density of building like he does.
On Cool Hand's show the other day, they what do they call it? Rock Out with Your Mock Out, their new segment there.
Yeah.
Did you see the little space baby mech that Slurpee shared?
I did not, but yeah. Do you know of a Mr. Simon Liu?
No, it doesn't ring a bell. Simon Liu.
I kind of like call him like almost like a facet in the community, especially in the mock builder side. Do you know what September is?
Yes. Yep.
He started September.
Okay.
And he loves building mechs with babies and animals. In fact, I have one. He gave my husband one that has a little penguin in it. It's a mech with a penguin in it. And he's a fantastic builder. But yeah, and to me, it's just that kind of crazy creativity. It's just something that you can't really find in a lot of mediums. But he knocks it out of the park, and he makes it look so awesome and adorable and stuff like that. But yeah, he likes to make baby mechs too.
Yeah. And that's hard.
Yes. Yes.
To do it so that it's recognizable as a mech is not a big thing. To do it and have it like look like it functions,
and
so
be
it
very
makes sense.
tiny too.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Like, I just think, and I'm like, okay, well, it's gonna get bigger, and it's gonna get bigger. But building small is truly hard. I can't build micro scale because I'm just like, I can't fit more detail into it.
Yeah. It's Derek who does all of the recorded videos for the Brick Dynasty channel. He loves to do brick heads and what's he call them? Chibi car builds.
Yeah.
So he loves cars. He loves speed champs and whatnot. So he'll take a speed champs car and condense it down into like a chibi thing. And it's amazing. I mean, it's so good, and he's so fast. And I look at them and they make no sense to me. It's like, how did you make that look like the actual car? Like a miniature Porsche. It's just
I am
like
not a good car builder. I struggle with cars, and I struggle with spaceships.
Yeah. Master builder Alec.
So if you really, to me, I feel like if you really want to learn great techniques, speed champs, because some of the techniques that they've been using in speed champs just blow my mind.
Yeah, those things get more and more detailed every wave. It's gotten crazy. Yeah.
Sir,
which is why they're closing in on $30 now.
1 second, I got a grumpy dog.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Waffles took your spot. Here.
Oops. You're muted. I can't hear.
I have a doggy bed underneath my build table, and it's only one because Waffles, my other dog, never really enjoyed, like, he just likes laying on concrete. So I'm like, okay. But now Waffles now loves the doggy bed, and now Doug is upset that his bed is no longer available.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Sharing is tough.
They're the truest brothers, even though they're zero relation. They like to annoy each other. They like to get jealous over each other.
Yeah, that's how my girls are.
Yes.
It's everything is a territory war.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go see Papa. Go see Papa.
Go upstairs.
Go with Papa. There they go. They're going upstairs. They missed them.
Yeah. So talking about spaceships, Master Builder Alec does the Willet spaceship on his TikTok channel there, and I'm sure he's on Instagram or something too.
Yeah.
And he's done it out of gorillas and bananas.
Saying the creativity and the technique is just what I love about building Lego blocks, because it's not, I mean, I know a lot of people will pick up a paintbrush, and I used to draw a lot and paint a good amount, but it's just like the fun aspect of, I can take this and make it into this, and it's totally crazy and it's totally kind of surreal, but it totally can be done.
Yeah. So when Mark was on last week, he talked about, part of why he didn't like working for, what are they called? Merlin,
yeah.
Yeah. They weren't Merlin Entertainment then. Merlin Magic, whatever the hell they were. Yeah. He wasn't creating his own things. He was creating versions of other people's things.
Yeah.
That sounds boring to me, but much more sensible way to start.
Yeah. How do I say this? I have designed a set, but designing a set to make it buildable by somebody, to make it not have one stud connections, to use parts that you can get in a reasonable quantity at a reasonable price. It's like, I could never work as a Lego set designer, because it's just, I can't. That's a different style of building, and it's not saying it's bad or it's wrong or anything like that. It's hard. It's hard to reset your mind when I love the fact that you can just, most of the time look up and find parts that are just cool and weird or in a cool color and just build something out of it. Or find old parts to get inspired by, versus like when you have to design a set and you have certain limitations and criteria you have to, it's a different thinking mindset. And I don't think I could do it. I struggled really hard doing one 200-piece set.
Yeah. It's like, oh, here's your budget.
Yep.
Right.
I had a piece budget. I had to find it on certain Brinkling stores, and I had to use the PAB bestsellers and stuff like that. So it's like, there's some people who love building like that, and some people who love building like, the challenges with, you take it one set, flip it to another and stuff like that. It's just different things for different types of builders, and I don't know if I could ever do that, but I can see why Mark would probably be like, I have to make mini landers. Now I have to make more mini landers wearing this or that or something like that. I understand that can be hard to be creative that way.
Yep. Yeah. What is it? I'm going to say his name wrong. Dyken Tutu, that guy. He's the one that turned the creator rabbit into a face hugger from Alien. And he's done xenomorphs and a whole bunch of other like horror related things. That's a whole nother talent.
Yes.
I mean, I love creator. I think it's probably one of my favorite themes. And it's a great skill to be able to have, 300 parts
Yeah.
and build 3 unique but similar enough things that are all still good,
Yep.
or at least fairly good. I mean, there's always one of the 3 that's, lacking a little bit, but that's fine.
Hey, I feel like if you get 2, man, that's already a gold star for you.
Yep. But to take one of those things and turn it into something entirely different, it's it's really impressive. Like, I
It
don't
is.
understand it. I could spend all day just scrolling through Rebreakable, like, not understanding how people did things.
Nope.
Yeah,
It's something I don't have the skills for that.
yeah,
So it's just, I mean, it's just part of mocking. Like there's so many things that people just say mocking. It can be modifying a set. It could be building, designing and building your own set with, playability features. It could be taking a set and building something completely different out of it. So it's just like there's just like endless ways to approach mocking. It doesn't have to be, there's, to me there's like almost no rules other than it has to stay together.
yeah, yeah. How do you come up with inspiration? Is it through your lug or through your kid or your imagination, or
I I
varies a ton?
I have to say it's nearly 80% my daughter. She'll
Yeah,
just, the first one I did, she said, "Mom, build this for me." But everything after that, like she's dropped like just something, some sort of nugget where like, oh, I should do this. Um, the girl, the mushroom head girl is like, she's like, well, what are we when we were buying them? We were going around trying to scan and find as many as we could and buy others off of like, friends and stuff. She's like, what are we gonna do with these? I'm like, I don't know. But we're gonna make a bucket because she just is like, we have to have. She built like her own house, and I had bought her the Brickling Designer Program set. She hasn't built it yet. Um, but it's like, if we're gonna do something, we're gonna do something cool, and we're gonna do something different. She's like, I'm like, I'm gonna build a castle for him. She's like, that's cool. That's cool. So she got really into that. But like, yeah, I made a friend's pirate ship.
oh,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
and that was all her. She's like, Mom, you should, that was my COVID build. She's like, you should build a pirate ship. So like usually she's pretty impactful in what I'm building. It may be a 1-for-1 what she tells me to build, or just maybe something she mentions and I'm just like, that's a good idea. Or just something she's into. She's really into like the frogs and the mushroom, the forest core, fairy core stuff. She likes that. So I'm like, I'll do that vibe. Um, that's typically in the elves, the Lego elves. She just loved them. Um, yeah, and then I loved anime, in my teen and 20s. And she's gotten really into anime, so that's why we did I'm like, we should do like some Makos or Geisha in like a Kyoto townhouse scene and stuff like that. So she's my muse.
awesome. Uh, the what is the word for it? The Yeah, it was like a 3 or 4 story kinda Asian house thing. Does that make any sense? If I put That was a
The,
very poor description.
yeah. I
That
think,
was, that was part of was a new
oh, you're talking about New
one.
Ashima. Oh, well, New
Yeah,
Ashima is a whole different, that's like a whole chapter in my EFOL.
yeah. Now, for that, do you still decide what you're building, and you just say, "Hey, this is what I
So
wanna add to it?"
how I feel like there's every collab has their own rules and their own kind of vibe and their own kind of like philosophy. Like the one that Mark Erickson was doing for Atlanta BrickCon was just like, just build something fantasy castle. And just tell me if you're good or bad, because he placed people kind of along a linear spectrum in the build based on good or bad. Versus there's some other collabs that have more stringent requirements. Like if you're going to do like a habitat stack with at Brick World, you have to build the habitat specifically to fit in with the other habitats physically.
Yeah,
For like New Ashima, the goals were cyberpunk, and they really wanted to kind of push the envelope on what a Lego collab could look like. They wanted it to look like something, I say they, it was primarily Simon Liu and Stefan Formentino, I think. I'm so bad for Stefan's Italian last name. Stefan it's a really interesting story. So actually, if you go Google Brothers Brick Cyber City, a group of guys back, I want to say in 2013, came up with this cube standard. I can grab a cube in a minute, and said, let's build a city, like a futuristic cyberpunk city using these cubes. Because, we all have these dystopian notions of like, stacking stuff, on a city, like, Star Wars and Coruscant, everything stacked up in the cityscape. They're like, let's do a collab like that. And we could just stack, all these things up. And so they did it. And Stefan was telling me he was just like scrolling around the internet and he came upon it. And he's like, I love this. I want to do this. So he started his own. It was just his own mock. He tried to get his lug to do it. And I think it was one person that joined him. And so he started building his own cyberpunk city, calling it New Ashima. And he lives over in Alabama. So I would see him at local LEGO conventions. And I always go like, I love this. I love this. I love this. It's still one of my favorite. His giant blue mega tower made out of the Mini Friends Disney books. It's still one of my favorite builds of all time. He just, after COVID, we came back after COVID, and because he had mentioned, he goes, one day I'm going to do a collab on this. And we came back after COVID. So it was 2021. I said, oh, how are you doing? Da, da, da. And he built more. I'm like, it looks like you built more in COVID. He's like, I'm doing the collab. And no, this was 2022, excuse me. And so I want to say it was later that year, he started putting on his Instagram, hey, looking for builders. And he brought in Simon Liu, because Simon Liu, again, has just been around the mocking AFOL side of the community for so long and knows a lot of great builders. And they're like, we're going to do this just to like just have this one awesome collab that's just looks like no one else's collab before and knocks it out of the park. But there was a lot more guidelines, and they made a style guide. They put a lot of effort and energy into the style guide and requirements, like it has to be lighted if it's one of the cubes. And, there was encouragement for feedback. So we were in a Discord, and, I'd always post work in projects, progress pictures, and, not everyone likes feedback. I like feedback. To this day, I kind of have the people that I go to for feedback on mocks when I'm unsure, just starting out and really want it. And it's a great way. You don't have to take feedback. That's what it is. Like, it's feedback. It's not saying you have to do this. It's just, have you considered this? And you know what? Just try it. And if it doesn't look good and if you don't like it, then don't do it. But it's good to try it. And to me, it really helped my building. So I was all right, just posting, stuff. And, I love, as I said, I was a big anime fan, sci-fi fan. So I'm just like very inspired more by like the anime side of sci-fi and just making and a lot of brutalist architecture. And that's kind of where I focused my stuff. But everyone brought something different, and there was different sectors, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun. But that one had a style guide. It had like I want to say like a 6-page style guide and requirement guide. And, people, as I said, people run collabs all sorts of different ways. Like versus you go to, I think at Brick World 2 years ago, they did, I know some people, friends of mine who did the what do you call it? The Super Smash Brothers collab, where they built all the figures and stuff like that. And that was, a little bit more loose. Like you picked your figure, someone wanted to build Peach's castle, stuff like that. So just collabs seem to, no collab is the same. People are going to pick different, ways of going about it, all sorts of things. But, some of the more serious ones, yes, there is requirements and deadlines and stuff like that. But anyways.
It was crazy being there very early last year. I mean, we didn't get there very early. We were there on Wednesday. But watching everybody load stuff in and having things be partially built while they wait for other people to arrive, and watching chunks get added together, being very confused about the process. It's like, how's the next piece even going to attach to this? It doesn't look like it should. Crazy.
The official 2023 Brickworld New Ashima, it took 3 days. we were up at midnight on Friday, which was the deadline to get your mock-up. And I think we made it in by I think we were a minute over, but the staff were understanding because everyone was just in awe. But literally people were there all time. There's a speed build of it. They put up the GoPros and had it recording the whole 3 days. And it was just nuts. Do you know what tolerance stack is?
Tolerance stack? No.
So Lego bricks themselves.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And once you start stacking them, to a certain thing, just the natural tolerance in the parts will make the next stack to them not potentially be off. It will exponentially kind of explode that tolerance that's within just the manufacturing. So we learned a lot about that during those 3 days, especially when you're trying to ballast a huge train, because there was a train running through 2 sectors and it was really heavy because this guy, Blake Foster, built it. And it's the gorgeous, it won best original train that year, but it's 6 feet in the air stacked in all these Technic cubes, and I ballast it and you have, so yeah, I mean, it was the coolest thing I done, and probably one of the most tiring things we've done. We've set up different versions here at Atlanta BrickCon, and now the primary people know how to really get it organized, and we have what's called filler cubes when people are late or don't show up. So it's like a pass-through cube where it's just some construction, but we can get the lighting wires through it. It kind of looks okay. So there's you learn a lot about that. In fact, I think we're going to do a workshop at Brick World of just because we built our own inner city here in Atlanta. We're not New Ashima because that's Stefan's baby. But we made a second inner city here, and having to build the tables because it gets so heavy, and all the roads and all the infrastructure for all the lighting. And, when you start having that many people connect that many things, it gets hot. So my husband had to do some of his electrical engineer. I mean, it's just so much goes into when you have a collab that big.
What's the footprint on that?
On the original New Ashima?
Yeah.
Goodness. It was a triangle. I want to say it was 15 feet by 15 feet by 15. I mean, it was huge. It was huge.
Oh my God.
It was, I mean, there were 60 builders there contributing, and there was 80 builders overall. So some people had to mail their stuff.
Wow.
It was, I mean, I think the center was 13 feet tall because they had a long antenna, but still it was tall. So, I mean, you literally people would take pictures of it, especially at nighttime. You're like, this looks like a picture of a city at night. It doesn't look like Lego anymore because it's so full. There's so many people. There's so many lights. It looks like a city.
It's awesome. Now, how do you get to the top of that?
Very carefully on ladders. There was a lot of ladders being used. There were people having to stand on the tables, which is why all the tables that were at Brick World, and coincidentally afterwards, because we saw Stefan, I want to say, before Brick World, and he was building up his city, and the table kept going. The plastic con table kept we could see it bending because it's just so much brick. Yeah. So we use there's an actual lug that came out with a table design that's kind of modular, and you can change the leg height and all that. So those have been adapted to support, and they can hold a lot of weight. I mean, you can have a full adult on top of them with probably another 100 pounds, and it's fine.
Wow.
So yeah, someone would get up. We have a picture of, if you've ever watched season 5 of Lego Masters, we have a picture of Ben, who was part of New Ashima. He was the runner-up for season 5. We have a picture of him standing in the water in between 2 different zones, trying to fix stuff. And he looks like Godzilla.
So season 5. Mm-hmm. They all blend together because I only watch clips of them on YouTube.
There's a lot of them now.
Justin Brady Joyner was in season 5.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right. He'll be on with me next week.
He's a great guy. I've met him at Brick Slopes, another great guy. But yeah, so that's how I met Ben, and before he was famous from Lego Masters. But yeah, I mean, people would just have to get up there and kind of hobble through the city like they were Godzilla.
Yeah, it's almost like those tables need a fifth leg, like something right in the center.
Yeah. Yeah, the ones that we build, usually they have, I want to say they're only like, that we build them like, about the size of like a 28-inch depth. So you can the ones that we'd use now for our lug, you can run screws through them to connect them together, so they even have like more rigidity all in it. I can't remember the lug that came up with this table design, but it's out there, it's free, and my husband likes woodworking, so now we have lots of good stiff tables for conventions, but then you have to lug them around.
Yep. Oh no, there's a joke there. All these lugging things. Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. So can you explain a lug in a explain it like I'm five kind of way?
Yeah. So lugs are changing. I'm going to say that with a caveat. They're always evolving, but now with social media and stuff like that, they are evolving. So technically, they're part of the Lego ambassador network, so to speak. Like, every lug that's registered, that's accepted by Lego, has its own ambassador, but they're different than the registered fan media ambassadors. But technically, it's like two halves of the same program. It's just either your registered fan media or your registered lug. And lug stands for Lego User Group. And not all lugs are registered with Lego. You have to do a lot of stuff to be a registered Lego User Group. You have to display at a certain amount of events with a certain amount of attendees every year. You have to have meetings. I say there's a lot of things to do, but yes, and you have to kind of like give Lego feedback, like, hey, we went to Atlanta BrickCon. Here's what our lug displayed. We had a lug city. We had a castle collab with another lug. We had individual MOCs. So, they have to report that back because it's part of Lego marketing, because they want us to go out there and show, like, not can you just build cool stuff, but you can build super cool stuff with Lego. And that's kind of the social contract between lugs and AFOLs. And what you get, every lug has their own dues. So, most of the time they're they're $20 or $30, which just kind of like covers like, hey, sometimes you have to rent a meeting room, because that's how I hear it is in some cities. Like, you just can't find free. Even our library costs like $30 to use 2 hours. Wow. Covers paperwork and stuff like that. And building more tables. But on the flip side, you get support from Lego, and sometimes Lego may have something cool that they want you to do. Or one of your members, they'll say like, hey, we have an opportunity. We're doing marketing for, when the Galaxy Explorer set came out, they said, hey, lugs, we are looking for people for AFOLs who make to make the Galaxy Explorer in these themes as part of just like a marketing campaign. They haven't done it as much lately, but they were doing it a lot. They were doing it on the Lego helmet, on the Star Wars helmets. Like, they were having people put like, make one look like the Chiquita banana, and make, just like, what can you do creatively with these sets? I built a Lego Friends Galaxy Explorer, and it was fun. It was lots of fun. And so that was through Land, and they gave me a set for my time, and they gave me a free a Galaxy Explorer ahead of time so that I could see the instructions, and I built a chassis based off of those instructions. And there's also other programs, they want you to they'll do surveys. They'll say, hey, lug ambassadors, send the survey out because we want to know what AFOLs think, stuff like that. So it's they have registered fan media, which is a great way for them to get feedback. And this is more of, they get feedback from more of the, the hardcores versus the registered fan meeting, which are out there kind of like getting people into Lego. And, we give the feedback from like the hardcore perspective of the nerds in their basement with their 2,500 pounds of Lego.
Yeah. The ones that are spending the money. Right.
I mean, I think they both spend the money, but it's just, and again, it is also helpful for Lego to really have this base of AFOLs. They can say like, hey, look, don't just think you can buy the set. Here's people being creative, putting out, like New Hashimo. Lego loved New Hashimo because it was just, jaw dropping, and it was just showing people what is possible, with Lego, and how creative you could be with Lego. And then that's one of their core creativity is one of their core values. So it's a way for them to kind of, get involved with AFOLs, figure out what AFOLs want, and then they do come back and help support the lug. They do support the lug with sets and stuff like that, so that we can go out there and show off how cool you can do with stuff with Lego.
Awesome. It's good to hear that they actually do get involved to some capacity. You hear like people just say awful things about Lego as a brand and their outreach, and I kind of feel like some of that is just you buy into it. There's a little bit of confirmation bias there because you see, I think quality has dropped a little bit. More and more sets that are missing pieces or misprints and spelling errors. I mean, at the Enterprise, that situation was atrocious.
I laugh because that's probably something I would have done.
Yeah.
I'm a horrible speller, and I forget to run spell check.
Yeah. I have a 0 proofread record. I refuse to. I will not do it. It's if I have to proofread something, I'm not sending the message. So it's just full send. If people don't respond, then that's fine.
I think Lego has to balance the fact that they're a company who don't want to make money, and that does screw up from time to time. But I mean, do you know about First Lego League robotics competitions?
No.
Oh, that's something separate than lugs. My daughter competed in it for 2 years, and it's phenomenal. And Lego puts a lot of work into it, and probably a lot of their money. It's run through the First Robotics Foundation. I don't remember how the foundation got started. I'm pretty sure it was a rich guy who like left his money to do this. And They made 2 leagues. They made kind of like the middle schoolers and elementary league, and then they have the high school and college league. And for the middle school and elementary league, they partnered with Lego with Mindstorms, and then Powered Up now. And so they have to build a Lego Technic power functions, I guess, no, it'd be Boost or whatever it is, robot, and they have to navigate this table that has a layout that has brick built things that it has to do. And it's a competition. And aside from that, then they have to go present on how they, as a team, built their robot, what were their goals. And so, I mean, that's a lot. My daughter was like in 4th and 5th grade to present, and they have other teachers come in and rate them. So it's not teachers from their district. And, there's homeschooler teams. There's just, teams that are from like, scouts group. Anyone can make a team. It doesn't have to be, in a school. And I feel like that's just something that Lego does that's fantastic. Because again, you have to be creative. You have to work, as a team. You have to program, and you have to build. And they have this goes all the way to, there's a world competition now for First Lego League. So they have, the farthest we got was state for Georgia. But yeah, it goes state. It has like regionals, super regionals in Georgia, and then state, and then there's the U.S. championship, and then there's a world championship. I think there's a documentary I want to say out on Disney Plus or something about teams, and then they have the high schoolers where they get a box of parts, so it's even harder for them. But it's for Lego to do that, it's great. I'm trying to push our lug to partner with the local, First Legal Leg of Georgia, because those events, the kids have to they go do their runs, they get a certain amount of attempts, and then they're sitting around all day. And it's like, we could be interacting with them. We could be doing like a mosaic with them. We could be having like our bulk there. We have like lug bulk, not that program. We have a couple of bins of bulk that we have as we bring out for smaller events. We can bring that out so that they have free brick around just to build and enjoy. We could bring out small MOCs. We can help with moving teams around because they have to have like, okay, it's your turn up at the competition table number 5 or something. But it's just something that, you know, I didn't learn about until I was in AFOL, and I'm just like, this is really phenomenal because it's just combining so many things that I love about Lego, and they made it into a fully funded program for the world.
Yeah, they should have the Lannisters out talking about that. Like, promote those kind of things because those are the things that make you feel better about the brand.
We're gonna keep on trying to work it into our lug to volunteer at these, because again, there's a lot of teams in Georgia. I mean, I'm sure any suburban area, and I've met a lot of AFOLs that, you know, my husband coached the team for a while. He was the assistant coach, and there's like a lot of people out there that, you know, a lot of AFOLs that their kids do it, and they end up being, you know, the helper or the co-captain or the co-coach. So it's kind of like full circle for a lot of AFOLs.
Man, there's so much cool stuff out there that I'm missing out on.
First Lego League. I mean, you got 2 kids, you know, when they get to elementary school, you should see if, you know, because ours was only open to 4th and 5th graders. Some schools it's only 5th graders, but
okay.
But you can start your own. Anyone can start a team. I think you have to have a minimum of 4 kids and like 1 or 2 adults or something.
All right. And you said that's a town or that's a region?
First Lego, no, it's a national competition and worldwide competition.
No,
so,
but like, what are the groups? The group is like, my daughter wouldn't work with like 4 states away. She'd work in just.
No, you have to be local to each other because you have to build and program together.
Okay.
But the competitions are within the state. They go from like, they have like a local, it's called a regional competition. And then if you do well enough, you move to a super regional competition. And then if you do well enough there, they move you to the state competition. And then I think like 5, I don't know how many, I think it's like 5 teams from the US, you know, state competition move on to the world competition.
Wow.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah. It's everything that you, as a parent, that you love. It's creativity, teamwork, having to present to teachers. That's so scary to me. Building, programming, staying out of trouble.
Yeah, presenting the teachers. That was tough.
I mean, that's tough.
Yeah.
And my daughter was so nervous, and like, we didn't do so. I'm like, kid, you're what, 8, 9 years old? I wasn't presenting to adults at 8, 9. I didn't have presentation and talking. I didn't do that. So, I mean, it's great for that too, just to get that under your belt about, you know, hey, you know, if I ever had to present something, you know, I have some experience. So it's just, I love it. I think it's a great program. Unfortunately, her current middle school doesn't have the program. They do another type of robotics program, but she's also in her dark age. So I kind of let her do her own thing.
Yeah. She'll get through it.
She'll get through it.
Yeah.
And she's still interested. One said came out, and the new Friends, the Friends restaurant, the Moroccan restaurant. She saved up her own money and bought that, and she has it mostly built. So,
okay.
But it's more of I'll do it for about 15 minutes, and it looks nice, and I'll come back to it later.
Yeah. Yeah. Life gets in the way. New interests, new experiences. Yeah. Yeah. It's also easier when they can start getting out on their own, and, you know, it's whether it's wandering the neighborhood or do kids go to the mall anymore? Is that a thing?
No, we actually went to the mall this afternoon because she has a dance. She has like a, you know, like a tween dance this weekend, and I'm like, she's like, all my dresses are too tight from last year. And I'm like, oh, we gotta go. And there was like no one there. No, there's a lot of texting. She texts with her friends, and, you know, her passion is more regular art and crocheting and reading. So, you know, she has her little art station across. Hold on a second. You're probably gonna see my hot mess, but
all right. Oh, you're muted. I can't.
Sorry. No, as I say, she'll come down here and do her art stuff across from me, and we'll be here together doing our hobbies.
That's great. Yeah, it's nice when you can have separate together time.
Yes.
I think that's kind of cool.
And I was pushed to do hobbies that I didn't like when I was a kid that were my parents' interests. So I'm very much about try something once. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it ever again. So I don't try to push mocking on her or anything like that. So
Yeah, I feel like that's the kind of thing that with so much exposure to it, there's always gonna be that little piece of something lurking in there. Now, whether she acts upon it or not is a whole separate thing.
and
But
she loves coming to Lego convention. I mean, like she's like, I want to go to Toronto and see Bricks and the Sick. So she likes the community. She's made friends with our adult friends in our lugs, and she has some kids that she's been growing up with in the lug. And I'm all about like, hey, it's normal for you to have healthy relationships with other adults. It just doesn't have to be mom and dad all the time. And we have people in my lug that love mecha, that love anime, and she'll talk to them about mechas and animes and stuff like that. So it's just healthy socialization that you don't have to always be with your peer age group. You can talk to other people, socialize with other people. So but she likes going and doing it. So I'm like, okay. I'm always like, and she's old enough where we kind of let her stay home, and we're so close, and we're 15 minutes away from the convention hall. I'm like, you don't have to come. You could text me. I'll come pick you up when you're ready to come. She's like, no, I want to see people in our lug. Want to see some. She loves seeing the build. So
cool.
She just doesn't want to mock right now. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah. But the appreciation's still there. That's important. Yeah. I think it's impossible to be anti-Lego. I think you can suddenly not care anymore or lose interest, but I don't think anybody gets to a point where it's like, oh, I hate that. I don't want to be around it. So
nah, she still loves, I mean, she loves art. So she likes looking at, to her, the mocks are art as well. So she appreciates it from that perspective as well.
it's a perfect situation. Well, since we're talking about the kiddos, we should probably part ways here so you can focus on yours and do nighttime stuff.
Yep. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's fine. I appreciate you hanging out as long as you did. It has been great. It's been cool getting to know you and learn quite a bit tonight, which is cool. So his name was something Lou.
Simon Liu.
Simon Liu. How do you spell Lou?
I think it's Liu, but it's Simox. It's SI dash Mox on Instagram.
Oh. Simox. Ah, there he is. Okay. All right, cool.
And he will tell you, I'm a terrible builder. He's a great builder.
Oh, geez. I don't want to send him a message. I'm just trying to look at his page. Whoops. All right. I'll try that again.
He's the father of September, contributor to Friendship Timber. He thinks that's another way to expand it. And just like a parting word, like everyone talks about tokens. I can never remember. Gugix from Brickworld. He was kind of like Arthur Gugix was the Brickworld master before him, and he kind of like was putting the scorpions on everyone's builds late at night the year he won. And then the next year, Simon upgraded it, and he loves frogs. So he built these little frog spaceships that were like, what do you call it? Like the clear dome, and it had some wings, and there was like a little frog in there. And he kind of upgraded it, and was was the second person to do Gugix as a Brickworld master. So that's his kind of claim to fame, aside from being a fantastic builder and awesome person. So
okay, awesome, man. Some of the stuff on here, it's unbelievable.
It's so well built, and then it cracks you up.
Yep. Oh, anytime you see Calvin and Hobbes, it makes me happy.
They did it. He did a whole Calvin and Hobbes collab one year, so it was fantastic.
It's one of the favorites from my youth. And well, still, really. Yeah, good stuff. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You enjoy the rest of your night. I'm sure I will see you in a stream somewhere.
You'll
And
see me in a stream. If not, I'll see you at Brick World with my giant yellow castle. Apparently, you can't miss it because it's so bright.
yeah, fantastic. I can't wait. That's 4 months away now. So we're in the home stretch.
I feel like I'm 90% done with my build. So it's like,
yeah, it's almost too early to be
yes.
done. Yeah. Watch out for that. But all right. Thank you again. Thank you, everybody who hung out. Thank you, Replay Gang, because you guys are here too, and we always appreciate you. Next week, we have Mr. Brady Joyner Bricks with us, and we will probably not talk Lego Masters while he's here, because we don't really talk Lego Masters with our Lego Masters very much. And yeah, so that'll be that. I'll see everyone next week. Love you all. Good night.
Bye.